It is August 15th, 2017. This is the Watchman News, and I'm Mike Callahan. Hopefully, just a quick update. Our shows will be a little smoother, a little better. I was able to do some minor things to help the computer cool down and process a lot better, so I was able to install the RAM that I had purchased last year, and it seems to be running cool and smooth. So, on to the report. A lot of craziness, as you all know, to deal with these Confederate statues. Absolute insanity. One was toppled, I believe it was last night. It was toppled. And this is just, it's insane. It's insane that people would want to forget the history that brought us to where we are at now, which is a lot better in some instances than what it was then. It's, the old saying is, and it's very, very true, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. That, folks, is what the intent is behind all of this. Before it's all said and done, just like the Bible says, it will be one world rule, one world currency, one world religion. It will be. This is how they're doing it. They are taking the steps now to make that a reality for all of us. And none of us will have any rights. We won't have the right to free speech, right to religion, or the right from religion. It's insane. It really, really is. So Illinois, surprise, huh? Passed a law. Well, the Senate has. I'll put the link to this down in the description of the video. As the headline reads, Illinois State Senate passes measure designating neo-Nazi groups as terrorists. In the wake of the violent clashes in Charlottesville, Virginia between white supremacists and counter-protesters, the Illinois State Senate wants white nationalist and neo-Nazi groups classified as terrorist organizations. In a resolution authorized Sunday, lawmakers urged law enforcement to pursue the criminal elements of these domestic terrorist organizations in the same manner and with the same fervor used to protect the United States from other manifestations of terrorism. Please state, folks. Please state. That's essentially what they're saying. They are asking for more, actually, of a police state. Insane. And I'm not supporting neo-Nazi groups or anything like that. What I'm supporting is the First Amendment. Okay? Yeah, I don't agree with them. I don't align myself with any type of racist organization or racist individuals. In fact, I will free myself from racist folks. I don't put up with it. I don't put up with it as far as the show is concerned. I don't put up with it as far as my personal life is concerned. Neither does Jen. We have a lot of issues with racism. Quickest way to get me not to speak to you: spew some racist bullshit. And I'm done. Real quick. Because if you're that shallow, if you have such a small thought process that you can't even see that each person is an individual, well then what could I benefit by even knowing you? Seriously. I mean, let's keep this real. Anyway, State Senator Don Harmon, a Democrat who introduced the measures, said he did so in response to Saturday's inexcusable violence committed by white nationalist and neo-Nazi groups in Charlottesville. Well, it wasn't the white nationalists, I don't believe, that rammed the car into people. And again, I'm not supporting them, I'm supporting the truth, right? Instead of getting all emotionally involved in this and just jumping and saying stuff that's not true, I would rather look at the facts, and go from that. That's how they're controlling people, folks. They're using people's emotions. That's exactly how they are controlling people. In a series of tweets, Harmon said it is vital that we stand in total opposition to the hatred, bigotry, and violence displayed by these groups. Counter-protester, run down by car. Hundreds of white nationalists and other right-wing groups converged Saturday on Charlottesville, which has drawn protest over the planned removal of a statue Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Now, I want to speak to that statement. They didn't explain in any way, shape, or form that these other quote-unquote right-wing groups were patriot and militia groups that were there to protect anybody that was having their First Amendment violated. Anybody. You see, in this country, we're supposed to have individual liberty, right? We're supposed to have freedom and justice for all. Liberty and justice for all. Liberty. It's actually a bit different than freedom. But it's supposed to be an individual liberty, right? So, why aren't they saying that? Why are they grouping the patriot groups, the militia groups, with the hate groups? They're certainly not hate groups. Folks, some of the people that care the most about you and this country and your rights are these patriot and militia groups. Ain't nobody else out there that care about it. Ain't nobody else out there defending it. So we need to set the record straight. That's ultimately important. Misrepresenting anything is extremely wrong. And those doing the misrepresentation should be ashamed of themselves. Counter-protester Heather Heyer was killed when a car plowed into a crowd. The driver, James Alex Fields Jr., 20, has been charged with second-degree murder and state other crimes. The Justice Department and Federal Bureau of Investigation have launched a civil rights investigation into the deadly crash. Investigators will probe Fields' alleged motives and determine whether there's enough evidence to bring federal charges, perhaps under hate crime laws. I mean, come on, right? They're having a hard time, with being able to possibly convict this guy. We've got a ton of God-loving, God-fearing patriots in jail right now in Nevada that can't even get an honest, fair trial with a jury of their peers. And I especially include with the jury of their peers, because even though this jury is going to make a verdict and going to dictate the future for these men, they're not even allowed to hear these men's defense. They're not allowed to hear these men's defense. So how is that a jury of your peers when it's a jury of empty seats? Insane. The FBI also investigates domestic terrorism and identifies suspects based on whether goals are to achieve political or social change through activities that involve force or violence, according to federal guidelines. Oh yeah? Really? What the hell have you done about George Soros? Not a damn thing. Why? Because you, meaning the FBI, is part of the problem. Absolutely part of the problem. Why is it that folks like, I could say Hillary Clinton, but that's used too much. But the other guy, I think it was Attorney General, right? The guy that was heavily involved in the whole gun running down to Mexico, which actually led to the death of Americans, Really. Eric Holder. Sorry, it took me a second for it to ring. You know, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. No sense at all. But while Congress has formally defined domestic terrorism, federal lawmakers have never created a crime to match the classification. CNN legal analyst Paige Pate writes. It goes on, I can go ahead and read this. Heirs to the Ku Klux Klan. In calling for the protest organizations to be branded as terrorist groups, Harmon took to Twitter to slam them and their beliefs. They are the heirs to the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazis, he tweeted. He fought 2 bloody wars in opposition to their ideologies. We must continue to fight those same twisted ideologies today. Diversity has always and will always make America stronger and better. We condemn these groups and their actions, and they're the opposite of what our country strives to be, Harmon tweeted. The Illinois Senate planned to send copies of the resolution to President Donald Trump, members of Congress, and Illinois Governor Bruce Rauner. It's a very slippery slope, folks. Again, I do not in any way support hate in any way. But if we are willing to take away somebody else's rights, then we better damn well be prepared for ours to be taken away as well. It's liberty and justice for all, folks, not liberty and justice for those that agree with me. That's a mindset that we really need to be working against now. That is a mindset that's much, much more dangerous than these hate groups. Because that is dividing all of us individually. The idea that we are an authoritarian to everybody that we reach out to. That's insane. It's narcissistic and it's bullshit. Live and let live.